So with no further ado, I want to introduce our next and final guest speaker for the night. She's probably getting tired of giving all these speeches. She's been giving quite a lot lately, but that is Joan Pontius, the Democratic nominee running against the sole Republican on the county council, right off the heels of a great fundraiser yesterday. So Joan, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Jake. I think we all pretty much know each other, so I was wondering what the best use of the time would be. I'll just talk about my my campaign. I guess I'll give you the most recent updates. So why did I run? David Youngman was running unopposed. He's not a moderate Republican. He protested the COVID restrictions. He voted against the Liberty Act. He voted against women's health care training. And we recently found a picture of him wearing a MAGA hat from a few years ago. He's aligning with the Calvin Ball and some of the county council for growth. For example, his campaign is funded by corporations and developers. What struck me recently, because of its proximity to where I live, was his expanding the public service area into a agricultural property for Erickson Village. And this was ignoring the testimony for the environmental consequences and the traffic and the needs for senior housing. Seniors aren't asking for these huge developments for their retirement. They want to retire. They want to age in home or in nearby small assisted living facilities. So why is this election so important? The general plan, it will be decided on next year, and the county council will decide what regulations have to be passed for the next 10 years of growth. The county's been focusing on economic growth, whereas what we need to look at is more of the negative impact on residents. For example, we need to strengthen the adequate public facilities ordinance. There's overcrowded schools and hospitals, and fire and rescue need to be incorporated into the APFO. There's still problems with stormwater runoff. And we do need economic growth, but it should focus on local businesses that are within Howard County instead of giving incentives and tax breaks from outside sources to come to Howard County and bring with them more employees who need more residential properties and more schools. It's also an important election because I'll be the third vote with Liz and Deb Young. They've been voting more towards policy that's compatible with the environment and residential quality of life. So if I could be the third vote for them, that would be great. Something I learned recently at the state level, the ag parcels that we often consider for forever in Howard County, when they get an easement or they sell development rights, are not forever. If the farm is not profitable after 25 years, they're allowed to revert and not be under preservation anymore. And so this will have a huge impact on a lot of the farm properties that are in preservation. So where are we now? The primary, I got more votes than David Youngman. This is partly could be because of the redistricting. I have a portion that used to be in District 1, and that's everything west of Centennial. There's the residential development around Centennial High School is now part of District 5. There's also been more developments put in over the last 4 years. So there's newcomers to the county, which probably tend to vote Democratic. But there's a huge amount of unaffiliated voters. There's 12,000. And looking at China Williams' defeat against Youngman 4 years ago, it seems that the unaffiliated voters are really voting for David Youngman. So we have to work to appeal to them. So right now, we have our funding. I was in the Citizens Election Fund, which means we had to raise $10,000 with 125 individuals. And we made that. So now we have our matching funds from the county. We have a decent budget for moving forward. But we need to reach out to these unaffiliated voters. So we're looking at canvassing. We started canvassing. The postcards are very expensive. Jake's been looking into text banking and phone banking, and we still need to buy huge signs and figure out where to place them. We need to schedule meet and greets and do more canvassing. Now, unfortunately, Jake was serving as our campaign manager, and he's finding law school very demanding. So he introduced me to Karina Fisher, who seems enthusiastic in filling in, but she doesn't have experience as a campaign manager. Kat Wee recommended Colin Foster, and he is young, but he's an experienced campaign manager. He worked for Maryland delegate who actually lost, but he has good recommendations. But he's from out of the county, so he's not familiar with some of the county issues. So now we're thinking maybe Karina Fisher could be a campaign manager, and we could use Colin's expertise by assigning tasks to him. So that's where we are for this week. This week, we hope to update my website. Right now, the joanpontius.com is still a placeholder website from March, but by Friday, we hope to have that updated with the traditional format of Meet Joan, issues, news, and donate and volunteer. There's a few activities coming up. The Chinese American Parent Association is September 10th. The League of Women Voters, September 17th. On the 21st, I have a meet and greet at a personal home of Judith Krauthammer. And on the 22nd, the Indivisible is having a meet and greet with other candidates at the Miller Library. There's a new Rotary Club for Western Howard County, and they invited me to speak. And then when I asked for a date, they said, well, how about December? So now I have to reschedule with them and figure out when they can fit me in. We had a great fundraiser yesterday with Liz Bobo and Liz Walsh, and Deb Young showed up too. I'm waiting to see the photographs. Jake's sister was there taking photographs. And we also had a professional photographer, Crystal Singh. I think her last name is pronounced. So I'm waiting to get photographs from them. But I think we raised nearly $2,000, and we hope to get, it's my estimate that we should get like about $7,000 of matching funds from that. So that will be great. And it looks like that's my update.
Yes. Well, thank you, Joan. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's keep up this momentum that you've been building for the last couple months since you've launched. Were there any comments or questions that people had for Joan?
Interesting stuff about unaffiliated voters. So Joan, when we're out canvassing, what do you think the unaffiliated, what of your positions do you think most appeal to unaffiliated voters, so we can highlight them if we sense that's what they're interested in?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that everybody is sick of the development that's, we don't have an infrastructure for. They love the open spaces. They like being outdoors. They don't like government controlling their lives, So I think that's something that appeals to everyone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I also think like just the getting corporate and developer money out of local pot, like you have to ask yourself what would lead somebody to be an unaffiliated voter in the first place is that they're not satisfied with either party. They feel neither party represents them. And I feel like to a large degree, it's because people know both parties are corrupt. So that's a pretty popular thing, I think, with unaffiliated.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to know if they're traditional Republicans who got fed up with MAGA.
They could be the more recent ones.
And I guess the people in the west part of county with the reopen Maryland and things, they really want government out of their life. So they're probably not going to support a Democrat.
Yeah, well,
Well, I don't have the word Democrat on my literature.
yeah.
And with, I went canvassing and I went up this driveway of like, it's not a choice, it's a child, and pray and all of this stuff. And an old man, he was 93, answered the door. And the first thing he asked us was, are you a Democrat or Republican? And I said, well, really, at the local level, I feel like it's really the same. They're both taking money from developers. And he went ahead and took my pamphlet. So I think that's one way to address that.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to mention party unless I can like tell the person wants to hear that Joan is like a Democrat.
Mhm.
And it's the same reason Kittleman has independent on his yard signs. It's because he knows running in the minority party, you kind of shouldn't put that front and center maybe, and just talk about the issues and hope that you get people on that. But I guess a comment that I'll say is, as more and more public forums start to come that have you and David pitted directly against each other, I think between now and then you really got to brush up on his record and some of his more egregious votes, specifically the ones where he is kind of selling out the interests of District 5 to the developer lobby, and not be afraid to take the gloves off at these forums and like really criticize him for his record and contrast yourself to that. Even that, it's some people, cringe at like, getting aggressive like that. It doesn't come instinctual to everybody, but it's an election. He's the incumbent. So you really have to, I think, make people see through, make people aware of these things that he's doing that probably a lot of people in District 5 might not know about. So not only through the forums, but also in our social media posting and digital ads. But I hope that that's something that you're open to doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for Harry's list. And, yesterday, Liz Bobo mentioned to come talk to her, and Alan Schneider has had me meet with, Susan Gray and Susan Scheit, and they've been very helpful too. But yeah, Harry's list will be very valuable in that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, was there any other comments or questions or concerns that anybody had for Joan before we hop off here?
Well, I had a suggestion that Joan go to different areas in the district with her horse and have some meet and greets, like at the park, School Email Park, and maybe even Western Regional, or there's a horse farm out in Lisbon. I mean, those are the people that you kind of want to get to, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. And I've talked to older women in the horse community, and they said they're all the horse clubs are infiltrated by developers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, why isn't the Maryland Horse Council, interested when I email them and stuff? But they're, they're all married with the developers.
But not like there's a horse farm out in Lisbon where they're saving horses. I
Yeah.
forgot the name of it.
Yeah, Days End.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know that, of course. But I mean, I just think it might be good for you to, I mean, you need to get out to that part of the county as well. I mean, I know it's good to be in where it's more condensed, but if you could have like something out there that where people could come and meet you and you can publicize it. That's just my, you know, a thought that I have for you.
Well, the Woodstock Inn on Marriottsville Road, sorry, on Woodstock Road.
Yeah.
We go there all the time with the horses, and that might be a good place for, you know, not even a meet and greet, but just announce, oh, Joan's going to be there for lunch, you know, with her, you know, between 1 and 2 at the Woodstock or something.
Is Jake, do you know if there's a good way to publicize that? I'm sorry, I think I'm taking over a meeting that.
No, you're
That's-
not.
yeah.
I mean, like nothing crazy besides like the traditional ways of we would just like, you know, make a flyer for it, maybe put it on social media, make an event on social media, send it to our email list. Maybe like, do you think, you know, because one, just letting somebody do something at your facility is one thing, but do you think that it'd be possible that you could actually turn them into like active supporters of your campaign?
When you say they, are we talking about?
Woodstock Inn.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Well, would it be a formal like event?
Or yeah, I guess I was just thinking like, would there be a way to get them to promote it? But the only way that they would probably promote it is if
The establishment. I thought you meant the people that would visit there.
like
Yeah,
this.
I don't know. I could go talk to them.
Do you like, you say you go there a lot, like do you know the owners at all personally by any chance?
Not really, no.
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 Do a lot of people?
It would just be a draw. It would be a draw for the people in District 5. I'm saying it's a biker bar, so it's a popular place.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything too like fancy, Carla, besides just like traditional.
Okay.
Oh, but Joel mentioned that it's a DCC that's having a Labor Day picnic in Cedar Lane Park on Sunday or Monday. And that's like right across the street, you know, so I could ride a horse across the street.
Yeah, I think we should get that. Yeah, he said some sort of Labor Day thing, right? Yeah, I don't know if anyone has details on that. But yeah.
But yeah, it might be worth reaching out to Days End Horse Rescue and say, hey, I'm running for county council. I'm interested in, you know, keeping a rural area to allow horseback riding. Do you have meetings? And could I come and, you know, give a little presentation or something?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, okay.
Oh, Drew mentioned Woodstock would be a good place for a sign. So, yeah, that would be a possibility.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's because there's the parking lot there for all the people who use the trails in the park.
Right.
And,
I could add.
all those guys, everybody out there on the trails, I would think would be like your natural consistent.
Right.
constituency.
Yeah, I think people come from all over there, Drew, not just Howard County.
Oh, I know, but I think that of the people who come there from the 5th district, that would probably be heavily biased towards supporting Joan.
I would think so too. Okay.
Yeah, no, but it's a good, definitely all good suggestions all around. And okay, Joel, is that the Dems event?
Well, look how much it is.
Does it cost money?
Yep.
Can we pay with stamped dollar bills?
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Well, Sorry, my thing.
I could just ride by with my t-shirt and my pony. Wave.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
All right, well, Joan should go. Whether the other people go, it's up to them, but Joan needs to get a picture with her pony.
Or it's $25 for a ticket, right?
Right, $25, yeah.
That's not, too outrageous.
No, it's not outrageous. I wonder where it's going to, though. They're probably gonna give it to Calvin.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's
Is it Sunday or Monday?
September 5th.
Oh,
The 5th is on, what day is it on?
Monday.
Okay, Labor Day, go figure. Yeah,
Yeah. Labor Day. Is it a picnic? Celebration.
Labor Day celebration. They're gonna have all kinds of meals there. Vegan turkey, tuna salad, roast beef, ham and cheese.
Nice. It's at Cedar Lane Park, it looks like.
Mhm.
Adding it to all of our calendar.
what time?
It's at 2:00 and it's Cedar Lane Park West. So that would be, I guess, where the fields are.
Yeah, that was gonna be the new fire hall and Calvin Ball sort of saved it.
No, he didn't. Deb saved it.
Deb and I saved it,
Yeah,
And
there's-
the-
and me
Oh, thank you for
too.
correcting me.
and the neighbors who live next
And the
door.
neighbors, and me too. I was there.
Well, you didn't save the neighbors where the new fire hall got moved to,
Where is it moved to? Where did they move it to?
right next to me.
Oh, sorry. You didn't get all your group together for me to go yell. For me to go and protest.
I have
It's
to go
right
someplace.
next to you?
I think it's- Yeah,
I
it's right
tried to
behind
get-
Homewood School
I
or in
tried
front.
to get in the front where that bus is parked currently, but the
Right.
school board didn't like that idea.
Oh,
I am trying to get it renamed, however, if you'd like to call it Elioke. I talked to the fire chief. He hadn't given that issue any thought.
Did they decide if they're putting it right on 108 or behind Homewood School
Apparently at Homewood, but
in their field? Their
Yes.
sports field.
which I thought one day you could convert that to a middle school and move Homewood.
I thought schools were required to have an athletic field.
they are.
But there are
Well, they aren't
special-
gonna have one if a fire hall's sitting on it.
Yeah, they are according to the educational specification, but they've cut corners in that regard previously.
Yeah. Well, unless there's anything else, I appreciate you joining us, Joan. Thank you, Chow, Wu, also for speaking to us earlier. See everybody next month for the elections and also my last meeting as club president.